Hey, yo, what's good? And happy Monday, y'all. Y'all already know what time it is. We do this every week, Mondays at 6 p.m. EST. This is the week 14 AP Top 25 poll breakdown. Y'all know the poll dropped right around 1 o'clock today, and the rankings are settling in for a few of us. You feel me? And now the real questions start. But before I get into my takes, before we start to recap games, before we break down this AP top 25 poll, I need y'all to get active early. You feel me? Hop into the comments, right? Hop into the live chat and let me know y'all thoughts. Y'all know over here on Her Core, Her Rules, everybody's opinion is valid over here. So let me know early who's ranked exactly where they should be. Okay. Top 25 poll breakdown. Who's ranked too high? Okay. And lastly, are there still a few teams out there that we sleeping on? Okay, we gotta start out early with the questions because I want to know y'all thoughts. Again, welcome to episode 60 of Her Core, Her Rules. It's your girl Najah Lee, and this is the realest women's basketball breakdown on the net, and the only place where hoops meet higher perspective. Y'all know each and every episode of Her Core, Her Rules is powered by none other than the illest lifestyle brand, encouraging dope people like you to do all things with purpose and intention, and that is for your lens. Y'all, we on the road to 500 subscribers, so every like, every piece of engagement, comment, share, and much importantly, the subscriptions, all of that matters across this entire channel. So appreciate y'all, appreciate y'all, appreciate y'all. While y'all here, be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe button, y'all, because we about to get into the shenanigans early, man. Y'all been watching women's basketball all week, really since we met last week, right? And the games just yesterday were wild, but we gonna go all the way back to like last Thursday. Remember last week we left off here with predictions. We always kind of look ahead at the schedule to see, what's going on in what's on the horizon in women's basketball. So last week we talked about Texas and LSU, right? We knew that was going to be a huge game, not just for SEC fans, for basketball fans across the nation. Why? Because the SEC is the most dominant of the four Power Four conferences, right? We talked about that before. We said, now for me, I say Big Ten, but that's okay, because SEC first in the Power Four, right? Big Ten, okay, ACC, and then Big 12, or maybe we flip that around, Big 12, then ACC. That being said, right, so we're gonna look at some games from over the last couple days and kind of talk about them a little bit because these games went into play when it comes to the top 25, right? The AP poll. Of course, now moving forward, we got bracketology, right? In every game, your positioning in the bracket for March Madness, it changes your seedings, right? So moving forward for the remainder of this month, which is the remainder of college basketball season, literally every game matters, right? Even in the weakest conference like Big East, right? It even matters. It don't matter to the number one seed, but it matters to everybody else, right? So let's talk about some games over the last couple days, especially the number one game that we predicted from last week, which is the LSU. I'm gonna kind of jump around. Y'all know how we kind of jump around over here, right? So we had two LSU games, right, over the last week. The most recent game was the LSU and Auburn game, right? Everybody knew coming in, we got our faves. I did not predict LSU to lose that game. Nobody had LSU losing that game. I did not think that for LSU, this is a low scoring game, right? The average in the 90s. However, they were completely dominant. Y'all know, y'all watched the game, even if y'all only watched the highlights. LSU BTA all day long, right? Acronyms. LSU put Delta A all day, the entire game. So Auburn, nothing to talk about there. Shout out to them though, because this ain't no disrespect. We try to respect all teams, even though they sometimes is a little skewed with the talent. from team to team, that's okay. LSU spanked Auburn, nothing to talk about there, but that was a great, 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 great showing. Why was that a great showing, Naj? Because they had just came off of a very tough loss against Texas, right? I going into the Texas LSU game, I said, I don't know. LSU has been playing very well. Texas has been playing well too. And I think LSU want to go ahead and say, nah, we deserve to be in the top 4 conversation. Well, Texas said, nah, baby, you don't deserve it to be here in the top 4 conversation. Go ahead, have a seat. Go ahead, just sit at the kid table. Sit at the kid table, the SEC, baby. Y'all not the girls no more. We the girls. Us in South Carolina, we the gals. Okay, cool. So LSU had a great week, even though they had a tough loss to Texas. They bounced back and spanked Auburn. So I guess one would say it wasn't great, but it was fair. It was a fair week for LSU. We love to see how teams respond when they lose. However, the Texas and LSU game showed us a lot about LSU. Now, for me, I ain't never been high on Kim Mulkey. One thing about it is it showed me that once again, Mulkey didn't got out coached. Once again, Mulkey didn't got out coached. I don't know if y'all agree with that. Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the chat. However, I felt like the defense from Texas from the tip, the offensive strategy for Texas from the tip, LSU just never adjusted to it. So when I was talking about the game and predicting the game before, we talk about X factors, and I said, Rory Harmon, she's got to be Rory Harmon, right? She's got to be her on offense. She got to be her on defense. She has to be the brain, the IQ. I also mentioned how Texas likes to run their offense mid-range, 3-point, then to the post. Post is like the last option. And usually when they do post, it's like ball action penetration to the post per se. Yeah, they have a pretty good center, but she gets in foul trouble a lot. So that being said, you don't necessarily get her the ball and be like, you know what, go ahead, do what you got to do. Yeah, you run plays for her, you run action for her, but usually she is the 3rd or 4th option on that said play call. That being said, Texas did exactly what I thought they were going to do as far as how they approached the game offensively and defensively. I just thought LSU was going to have a little bit more. They just didn't seem to that more bounce to the ounce. They didn't have the more bounce or the ounces in that game. Okay, so again, LSU still had a good week per se, especially because they had a dominant bounce back game. But I expected a different showing when they played Texas. I really, truly did. Let me get to the comments. Happy Monday. Shout out to Keontae. Love the energy. Kim definitely got out coached, and at one point it appeared that she gave up with her facial expression. That energy was contagious with her team. Y'all see that? Oh, y'all see that? Yes, I completely agree, Keontae. Again, I ain't never been super high on Kim. I don't think that she's a coach that can't. And from what I've seen, this ain't. I just started watching Kim at LSU. We talk about go way back to early Baylor days, and Baylor. We talking Baylor with Brittany, right? BG them, right? Early Baylor days. Sometimes her emotions can get the best of herself, and it seems like her vision is like tainted, right? And she's locked in on an idea that she came into the game with, but the game is changed, right? And your initial game plan ain't serving the ladies, so you got to adjust. And it seems like sometimes she's just very resistant to adjusting her initial game plan and attack. So yeah, I completely agree with you, Keontae. Shout out to you. Welcome back to Her Core, Her Rules. Welcome back, Pharaoh, to Her Core, Her Rules. Best win by the Gamecocks thus far. Let's talk about that game. Shout out to you, Pharaoh. Welcome back. Yes, so the Gamecocks, let's go. Game two, we're going to talk about briefly, okay, because there's not much to talk about with Tennessee. But when we went through Tennessee's schedule, what was it, 2 episodes ago? We went through Tennessee's schedule. It could have been last episode. Young lady in the comment section or in the live chat was like, Tennessee, they're gonna be on a downhill trajectory moving forward for the rest of the season. Look at their schedule. The strength of the schedule for the remainder of the season is crazy. I said, oh damn, let me go check that out. So we checked it out live, right here with the Her Core Her Rules family, and we like, oh yeah, Tennessee, it's looking bad news. It's looking bad news bears for them. Right. So we kind of went through and predicted all the L's, was hoping like maybe, just maybe, but no, we knew this one certified was going to be an L. 93-50. They was on South Carolina was on all mother. Yo, I was like, and yo, I'm at work, right? So I'm at work, right? I had to work. Sometimes players still got to go outside and play, make a couple chickens. I'm at work, right? I'm like, all right, yeah, everybody don't talk to me come 3 o'clock, motherfucker, game come on. Everybody, what time the game come on? Game came on at 2 or did it come on at 3? I don't know, because it was a game before and then it was this one. Boom. And then, they pissed me off because they put the South Carolina and the UCLA game on at the same time. They know that people want to watch both of them games. That's okay. So, boom, watching the game. And I'm like, everybody don't talk to me. Don't ask me if I'm watching the game. Yeah. Don't stay to come on. Get out my way. I say, first of all, Raven Johnson on them. Najah Lee on them. They was on them so much. Even when Tennessee tried to respond and do a little press, Tessa's house, I'm gone. And I'm looking over at the bench. I said, they got McKeer on the bench. They got Chloe Kitts on the bench. They got McDaniels on the bench. I was like, okay, yeah, I mean, based on the people that's not playing, Tennessee, if they shoot well, I mean, really well, they might can make it competitive. I'm talking about 15, maybe 15, 17 point spread. Did not think Shorty, 43 point. Stay at home. Gamecocks handed Vols worst loss in their program history. Underline that. See, and shout out to Farrell. Farrell always pull up Her Core Her Rules. He always got stats, always got history, dropping gems. Worst in their program history. Disrespectful. And again, this is what I like about the Dawn Staley approach to basketball. When she says she wants to beat you, yeah, that's cute. I want to beat you. Everybody want to win. Dawn Staley wants to embarrass you. Shout out to Philly. Shout out to anybody who played coming up and ain't have nothing. Shout out to the grit. The grit make you say, how dare you think you could with me? Like the grit when you hoop and you used to hoop on the crates, right? And you used to dribble with the basketball that had the titties in it. Y'all know with the ball with the couple of lumps on the side, right? When you used to hoop with the ball, sometimes you bounce it, it go this. Oh, you gotta chase it. No, that ain't a move. You gotta find the ball because it bounced the wrong way. When you come up like that, it make competition is different now. I'm not satisfied with winning. I'm satisfied when I embarrass you. I'm satisfied when we at the end of the game and everybody got to do the congratulations hand slap. And some of y'all don't want to slap my hand. Not because we won, it's because we in bet. Raise your hand if you ever played a game and you ever been embarrassed. I've played a game and I've been embarrassed. I remember, and way back in the day when I was in high school, y'all remember the women, sometimes the girls and the boys used to do travel games together, right? So we go down to Columbus. We playing, again, I'm from Ohio. So then we go down to Columbus. We playing the best school in Columbus at the time. Ethnic school, an ethnic urban city school in Columbus. Not private school because I ain't never been in no private school. We go down there and we knew it was going to be tough because, when you get to certain cities, there's a different level of competition just when you get to certain cities, right? So we going down to the capital. So I'm like, I know competition gonna be crazy because it's the capital, it's state capital. It's gonna be. We get down there, I'm 5'4" and some change. You know what I'm saying? I ain't that tall. You know what I'm saying? I'm vertically challenged. It's okay. Don't argue with yours. I'm good with it. We go down there. I looked at the point. We shooting up. Warm ups. Everybody get the shit on. So we draped out. You know what I'm saying? Black and red. Go Cardinals. Da 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 da. We go down there. I'm looking at the girls on the other side because you're supposed to look at your competition. Okay, we doing our warm ups. I'm looking at them do they warm ups, and I'm like, hold on, something different with them. I'm like, who the point guard? Dang, is they point guard out or something? Because I'm looking at them, I'm like, everybody fucking tall. Like, everybody's tall. So I'm like, is they point guard out or something like that? Because, we do scouting reports, but this is way back in the day. You had to scout on live scouting on the court. I said, what's going on here? Something is. Coach said, no, they point guard right there, right? I said, is she like 5'10" or something? Cause she looked like the center. I'm confused. She 5'9". Who I'm supposed to check her all game? Hey, I'm only 5. When I say 5'4" and some change, I rounded up to the 5'4". I said, what? I knew then it's gonna be a bloodbath. So I understand about embarrassments. Remember, I said I think Tennessee might fall out of the top 25. Yes, you did. It might get even worse. And with her press conference, the coach had lost the team. Caldwell made stuff you say in private public. Yeah, as a coach, man, sometimes even when you are deflated, when you have lost your morale, when you have lost your hope in a team as far as what y'all can accomplish this season, looking at the end of the schedule, looking at what you've already endured, looking at the strength of the SEC, you're looking like, okay, y'all, it's gonna be, it's gonna be fucked up for us for a minute. Let's just try to get through. How do you maintain your character? How do you maintain your energy? How do you maintain your level of togetherness and unity and be able to inspire and rile up a team, even if you think they're going to face significant opposition moving forward? How do you do that as a coach? Well, first and foremost, you remain poised and you remain dignified. I would rather you say too little than say too much. Y'all can thank me later for that jewel, that nugget right there. I would rather y'all say too little than say too much. If anybody is going to criticize me for anything, is that sometimes she doesn't explain herself in totality. Sometimes you got to ask clarifying questions because I'm only going to give you. So if you want something out of me, you better ask me directly what you want. Because if you trying to ask me a question that's with other intention, I see what you're trying to do, so I'm gonna play the game with you. You feel me? So as a coach, you got to be able to stand in front of your troops and still be able to keep the peace in the middle of chaos. It just is what it is. As a coach, you don't have that is your job. Your job is not only to win games, your job is to manage volatile emotions, to manage personalities, right? To manage expectations. That's your job. They lose a few more, they will be out of the top 25 in the next week or so. You know what? Let's I like that. Let's go ahead and get into the top 25 stuff, and we're gonna look at Texas schedule one more time. I mean, not Texas, Tennessee. I'm sorry. See, they got me flabbergasted. Let's see. Tennessee Vols. I'm gonna pull up their schedule real quick one more time. Oops. Okay. Schedule. And let me get these points back on the board. So while I'm pulling up Tennessee's schedule, let's get to the comments. Alicia Tornabize, how you pronounce her name? Whatever. Alicia Tornabize, I believe that's it. Making it rain from 3 against the Vols defense. Again, when you're 6'6", when you're a 6'6" guard, essentially, right? When you're a 6'6" professional guard, what some of these college girls gonna do when you are forcing one of their bigs to stretch all the way out and now contain a 3-point threat? Most bigs in the NCAA basketball are not equipped to defend somebody who is going to stretch them that long, that wide, right? You're not. You're at best. Joyce Edwards. She know how to shoot. Akata take a three, but Alicia, she a guard, right? She's a guard. So when you're a 6'6" guard masking as and playing and posing as a big, nah, you a guard, and it make it real easy to make it rain from three when the person who's checking you more than likely is a big, even if they're that stretch wing. Tennessee didn't have nobody to do nothing with that. Vols need to get to the drawing board. I think for the most part their season is over with. I mean, I hate to sound so pessimistic because I'm really a very optimistic person, but I mean, the reality of it is looking bad for the remainder of the season. They got Missouri more than likely. They should win that game. You know what I mean? But again, it depends on spirit. You know what I mean? You can lose any game in SEC. So it depends on spirit and morale. How y'all feeling in the locker room? Are y'all divided? Has coach brought y'all back together, or do you have an ego here and a personality here saying I'm gonna do it my way? I'm gonna do it. Well, I'm just gonna go ahead and get my points up since the season over with. I don't know. We're gonna have to find out and see. Hopefully, maybe they regroup against Missouri. Then you got Texas. What Texas gonna do that South Carolina ain't did already? Texas was they gonna win by 35? Next, Ole Miss. Well, that could potentially be competitive, but again, if they are on a continuous downward spiral, I mean, they just barely beat Georgia. Barely beat Georgia. They had to go to overtime with Georgia, right? But Georgia ain't no slouch. So then you get blown out, worst loss in program history. Shout out to Pharaoh. Then you got Missouri. You might win that. Let's just say you win. Okay, bad. Then you got Texas, loss. Ole Miss more than likely loss. Ole Miss been cooking too, loss. Texas A&M, hey, can go either way. Okay, and Texas A&M just had an upset. We're gonna talk about that. Then you got Oklahoma, more than likely loss. LSU, more than likely loss, and then Vanderbilt loss, right? So, out of the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games, they could potentially go 1-6. What that look like? 6 and 7 big shooting like a guard is great. I mean, it really is. It's I mean, Dawn Staley recruiting bag is crazy. I mean, look how she's been able to retool this team year in and year out. I mean, we give the credit to coaches like Gino, the coaches that can continuously recruit, draft classes and things like that. But one thing about UConn is people aren't really transferring out of that program. A lot of people aren't sitting out and staying away from the team for personal reasons, right? And then you flip to South Carolina, and there's just been some weird stuff going on over the last year, maybe year and a half, and you like, what? This might be problematic for Dawn. Dawn said, would y'all stop doubting me? Relax. I got something in the tuck. So, shout out to them. Shout out to South Carolina. We're gonna get into the breakdown here soon. Farrell said, I think they beat Missouri. Yeah, I think they'll beat Missouri, but the rest of that schedule looking pretty dang on bad from here. By BTA, by Belt, by UConn, and then South Carolina. Tennessee needs a leader as a coach and on the basketball court. Also, they need better offensive plays. Taking 30 to 40 3-pointers won't win you no championship. Now, you're absolutely right. Now, the thing about it is South Carolina wasn't letting them get nothing in the paint. Nothing. They spent so much time dribbling and running around the 3-point line. And it was at one point I was screaming at the TV saying, get in the paint. And then I had to realize, oh, this is not even my team, so I really don't care. But I love good basketball. And so I'm watching, I'm like, they not getting no penetration, no nothing. Like, Yeah, they in the zone, but you could still set the screen on the zone. You could set multiple screens. You got to get them moving around on defense. If they just sitting there waiting on you or dictating the moves you're making, they ain't gonna let you make nothing. They got some beast on defense over there. They don't have any weakness across their starting five in defense. Not a one, right? Shout out to Tessa Love. Y'all do what she said. Welcome to Her Core, Her Rules. Hit that like, hit that share, hit that subscribe, man. Why you here? Come on and get into the live chat. And if you're watching on the replay, go ahead and leave a comment and let me know what you're thinking about the content. Listen, Keontae said they took 31 3-pointers against UConn and lost by 30. They took 42 3-pointers against South Carolina and lost by 43. Now the numerology there is crazy. You feel me? That's crazy. They took 31, lost by 30. They took 42, lost by 43. Come on, man. Again, with Tennessee, especially when they're playing the better defensive teams, and at this stage, can we assume that most of the SEC got damn good defense? So if you Tennessee, you kind of got to make it's almost like a mind F. Like you got to kind of hope and pray that your jump shot is falling. From distance, you got to be able to figure out how to lighten up that defense again, because South Carolina, they pressing you full court damn near all game. You feel me? So good luck. Good luck. And we just saw the schedule moving forward. They're going to need a whole lot of that. Next big game that we witnessed yesterday, UCLA and Michigan. Remember at the couple episodes ago, I was like, we on 60, so it might not be couple. But I said Michigan really got everything it takes. Their team is so well balanced. They really have everything it takes to beat almost anybody, right? And when I say almost anybody, I'm thinking we're thinking of the top 4 teams, right? At this point, the top 4 teams have been consistent. So when we're talking about who can beat who, at this point, it's got to be the top 4 teams. If you can't beat the top 4 teams, then you're not in the conversation for Final Four. I mean, I know that sounds as plain and generic, but that's just the reality of it. I believe a Vanderbilt can beat a top 4 team, right? So there are teams that can't. Obviously, LSU can beat a top 4 team, but Michigan, here's the conversation. This is where the conversation starts, right? Number 8 ranked Michigan fought tooth to nail with number 2 ranked UCLA, and until this game, UCLA had been looking unbeatable. Now, granted, they did not lose this game. Obviously, it was a close game, 69-66, and was pretty tight all game. However, they got real close. They got real close to being, in my mind, would have been an upset. Michigan against UCLA. Now, when you got UCLA and you got Lauren Betts, you know what I'm saying, Kiki Rice showed out in that game as well. It made it a little bit, it gave yourself a little bit more confidence in the team because of how other players continue to elevate and evolve around Lauren Betts. She does not have to carry the load on her own. And then there are other games where it could be a Neepkins, it could be a Kiki Rice, it could be a Hawkins, it could be so many players that contribute to the victory of that game. So I thought that was a phenomenal game. Did any of y'all get a chance to watch it? I hope y'all did, because it was a great game. I'm gonna look at the box score again real quick, because again, Kiki Rice showed up, and I say that like she showed up. I didn't want to make it a joke. However, there are many games where I'd be like, damn, if she just they UCLA playing well, right, as a team, and Lauren Betts been dominant all year. But I'm like, if Kiki can just give a little bit more every game, just not, you don't have to blow my mind, right? But I just need a little bit more, like 3 more points, 1 more board, 2 more assists, so I can be confident in your play going into March Madness. If she continues to play like this, I don't even need the 20 points per se. I need the aggressiveness, right? She was 50% from the field and 8 for 9 from the free throw line. It's the aggressiveness that we want to see, right? And look how this differs over the game. February has been good for her. She been turning up this February, right? She started February with 17, 4, and 7 against Iowa. Then they played Rutgers. I mean, Rutgers ain't nobody, so you should have a good stat line. She had 17, 7, and 2, right? Again, when you're a point guard, I need 4, 5 assists a game. That's just where I'm coming. But look what you're doing on the defensive end too. You're still getting three steals, right? And then against Michigan, she had 20 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. She had 3 turnovers. Okay, but again, she made up for it at the line, okay, where she went 8 for 9 from the line. Come on. Now, Lauren Betts being Lauren Betts because they are doubling her and tripling her and doing everything to keep her from scoring. Your center led the team in assists. Shout out to her being a great passer. She also had a phenomenal pass to her own sister, right? When they came with the double, Lewis's came cutting down the middle of the lane. Boom, drop pass, boop, and one. I said, it's too easy. It's too easy. Lauren is up there with it. She's too smart. Michigan plays everyone close. Everyone, right? They're such a great team, and I felt like they kind of just they got into foul trouble. First in the third quarter, was a little bit of foul trouble there, where their main hitter was kind of on the bench for extended minutes. But overall, I mean, I just think they're a great team. They have a great point guard, great leadership, great coach. I have nothing bad to say about Michigan. And again, I'm from Ohio. I shouldn't have nothing good to say about them. But haters, I can't hate. I can't hate on somebody who's good, but they don't close out. So they are a good team, and sometimes they just kind of run out of gas, and that's what I was gonna say. Shout out to Pharaoh. They run out of gas a lot of times in that fourth quarter, where either they go dry shooting, or they just have a couple lapses where they can't stop anybody. That's never gonna work, especially when you play in a team like UCLA. Okay, but shout out to them. It was a great game. Again, the Texas and LSU. Texas took that game. And now we're going to talk about a couple upsets. We had Colorado, TCU. I mean, Colorado, TCU is an upset to most, but again, I'm not high on TCU. And Colorado is always a sleeper team because they're well coached and they always play hard and gritty, play with a lot of energy and a lot of hustle. That being said, TCU sometimes can lean a little bit too much and rely too much on the finesse. And here we are, lost by 1 to Colorado. Most would say it's an upset because Colorado is unranked. I would say it's not because TCU, fools go. Exactly. Y'all know what we say over here. Fools go. So because of this is what we do over here when a ranked team loses to a non-ranked team, we gonna go ahead and do it. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. And just like that, down went TCU to Colorado. Then, actually before, Alabama lost to Texas A&M. Y'all know the SEC is a hard place to be. You can hold that L any and every night. And Alabama, although they've played very hard all season long, sometimes they don't play enough defense to get them over the hump and close out a game. They don't have problem with scoring most times, but usually it's the defense that kind of is suspect. And the defense caught them slipping. And you know what? Here we go. A L in the column. And let's talk about that game a little bit. Again, I like to look at the team breakdown, because when you see a team shooting 42% and another team shooting 38, you're like, oh, okay, well, Alabama definitely shot better. Look at the 3-point shooting, 18% to 47%. Okay, the free throws, right about the same percentage. Aha. But look at the amount of free throws. 31 free throw attempts for Texas A&M to 15 free throw attempts for Alabama. Again, when you are lacking defensively, it's hard to stop people. It's hard to stop the penetration into the paint when you don't have the gloves around your team. Y'all know the glove. Y'all know I'm talking about Gary Payton. Okay. And I'm just showing you my age, right? So they got out of this game with 11 turnovers and went to the free throw line 31 times. They won this game on free throws alone. They shot 16 more free throws than their op, and they made 10 more free throws. There we go. There's the game right there, baby. Shout out to Nigeria Pryor. She had led the game in 23 points, 10 rebounds, 1 assist, 4 steals. My goodness. Okay. That team, obviously, as y'all can see, the highest lead was 6. Texas A&M. It was a tight game, close game. I mean, but the best team won that game. So there's that. Upset, definitely an upset game. Now, in this case, I'm not going to play Down Goes Frazier because Alabama, just as they're in, they can be out next week. You know what I mean? They ranked 21, so I'm not gonna say Down Goes Frazier on that. But let's get into this top 25 breakdown. That's why y'all here. Let's talk about it early on. Who ranked too high? We looking at just the top 7 right now. That's what we're looking at, just the top 7 right now. When y'all see this top 7, what are y'all first reactions? Okay, first reactions. Well, number 1, Duke. I don't know why I said Duke. UConn. The blue. The Huskies have won 41 consecutive games, the longest active streak in D1, and their 5th win streak of a 40+ games or longer in program history. You mean to tell me they didn't won 40+ games 5 times? 40+ games okay. Shout out to UConn. They ain't playing nobody right now, right? They spanked Butler, right? They had a really tough one against DePaul. Coming up Wednesday, right at the same time, I do Cavs State of Mind. They're gonna have a nail biter with Creighton on Peacock. Now listen, why UConn getting the Peacock games and what they not playing nobody? Put somebody else in that slot. I'm just saying, we know we love UConn. Don't want to see them on Peacock play Creighton. Shout out to whoever kids go to Creighton though, because if my baby was at Creighton, I'd be like, girl, nah, shut what you talking about up? Shut all that up, girl. My daughter played tonight on Peacock. What you talking about? You feel me? So shout out to UConn, number 1. They been ranked number 1. Here we are. Ain't nothing changed. Again, nothing changed with 2. UCLA representing that Big Ten. It's still crazy to see UCLA and like this merge with not having the pack and these West Coast teams in the Big Ten. It's still blowing my mind, but whatever, it's an adjustment. Got to get used to it. UCLA 23-1, still holding down that number 2 slot real strong again. Behind South Carolina, or behind UCLA is South Carolina 24-2, holding down the SEC. SEC again is pretty much dominating the top 10. They dominating the top 10. But in the top 7, we got some Big Ten and we got some SEC in the building. So shout out to South Carolina. Number 4, Texas, still riding with number 4. Still Texas 22-2. Had some great wins this past week. Great win against LSU. Phenomenal win against LSU. Yeah, and then y'all know Rory Harmon became the all-time steal leader in Texas history. So shout out to them. Um, Texas Longhorns should be ranked 2 in the country. They have the best wins in the country and playing in the best conference in the country. That has to matter. Now, Chicago Cheetah, welcome back to her core, her rules. Listen, I do agree. UCLA has been very, 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 very dominant, right? You they ain't played the same competition. You know what I mean? They ain't played the same competition, and it's kind of unfortunate that the competition it doesn't tip the scale like a little bit. Um, I guess it's something that we can all argue about. I think that Texas kind of deserves. South Carolina, I could see South Carolina or Texas over UCLA in number 2 for sure. But the thing about it is that UCLA, it seems that they haven't really staggered all season. They got the one loss, and that's the difference. Yes, the South Carolina and Texas, they hold their L's to SEC teams way more competitive, but UCLA only got the one loss, and they've been blowing out everybody, right? So I guess I can see it, but I definitely can see your argument and the argument of a lot of people who are SEC fans just in general. Like, nah, one of them SEC teams need to be ranked number 2, period. The Bruins are full go, and when the time is right, they will continue to show why they're not a real championship contender. So you think the Bruins, UCLA, you think they are pretenders, not contenders. How many else think that UCLA are pretenders, not contenders? Y'all think UCLA's fools gold too? I mean, sometimes they, usually I don't want to say usually, but sometimes in that March Madness, once you get to that Final Four, it can get dark for UCLA as far as some people not showing up to the party. So y'all let me know. SEC means more. Absolutely. The wins in SEC and the losses in SEC means more. South Carolina runs the SEC. So you saying we got Cheetah saying Texas should be number 2. Farrell, you think South Carolina should be number 2, right, over UCLA? Texas smoked LSU. They did. UCLA one loss was to Texas. I mean, so yeah, y'all making a real good case for Texas to be number 2. I don't think Texas belong that high. Well, when you got UCLA's only losses to Texas, Texas is only lost to SEC teams, and SEC teams are weighted heavier, and it seems like all the best teams lose to either South Carolina, Texas. If you come to the SEC, you're gonna lose to South Carolina or Texas. It doesn't really matter who you are. It's not many teams that could beat them. So y'all make a great case, and that's why I like having these conversations out loud, because if you just look at the record, if you just look at the star players, sometimes there's a little bit of nuance that can go up over our heads. Just as general fans, not super fans like y'all, but just regular general fans, like, you feel me? So Farrell says, I don't think UCLA is a real contender. UCLA lost to Texas Longhorns. Yeah, I think that UCLA. If I would have to pick who would win it all, if it was between the top 4, I would put UCLA at 4. Right, out of these 4 teams, UConn, UCLA, South Carolina, and Texas, if I would have to rank them based on who do I think could win it all, obviously UConn, then South Carolina, then Texas, then UCLA. I wouldn't rank UCLA higher in predictions to win it all, just because I don't think their guards gonna show up in the March Madness. That's just what I think. I don't think their guards are going to do what they do in regular season. I don't think they're going to do the same thing in March Madness. I think that until they get to the Elite Eight is going to be maybe comfortable for them. But then after that, if they don't have contribution from all of their starters, not just Lauren, right? It's not going. I don't think it. I don't think it'll be enough. But shout out to them. Then we got 5. We got Vandy. Vandy then moved on up 2. Okay, because they had some bounce back games as well. They caught them 2 L's in a row. They ain't caught no more. Okay, they say that. LSU is back to 6. I think LSU will still be top 5 by the end of the season, but LSU losing to Texas lost them 1 ranking, which rightfully so. We saw that. We seen that coming. Then you got Michigan ranked 7, even though it moved up, even though they lost to UCLA. That's okay, right? It was a close loss, and it was a great game nonetheless. So that's the top 7, right? Let me get to this comment. Vandy doesn't deserve to be in the top 5. They lost the Rebels team. They should not have lost, and they got blown out by 30. Let's look at Vandy's recent schedule, cause yeah. I mean, I think that they are still ranked high just because of what they've done so far, just this season in general. But that's not a bad take. That is a great argument to make when you lose, and you get blown out. It make it look real bad. But again, the bounce back matters, right? So then you spank Florida, then you barely beat Kentucky, but Kentucky is trying to fight their way back into being top 10 as well. So they played hard that game. Also, Kentucky is 8-2 in the SEC. They only got 2 losses in the SEC. So for whatever their entire win-loss column, all they losses is to SEC teams. The thing about Vandy is that Michaela Blake's, it's hard to root against her. It's just hard to be like, Michaela Blake's, it kind of reminds me, like, if you take Juju last year, imagine Juju not playing with Kiki. It would look like Vanderbilt. It would look like Vanderbilt. They got some decent bigs over there at USC. However, they ain't got the right big to pair with Blake's. Blake's Vanderbilt need more, and I think they need more in a post. They need something to counter Blake's. Yeah, if they got another guard, if they get into that transfer portal, and get them either a superstar point guard, okay, or get a big. They either have to develop the big that they got, make her more aggressive, or recruit a big in. Now the good thing about it is SEC. So you're gonna have your picks of somebody in the transfer portal, especially if it's to pair up with Michaela Blake's. If I was a big right now, I'd be like, hold on, excuse me, I'm going over there where she at, because I know she about to make the game real easy for me. As far as the Bruins are concerned, they're not a real team. They lose. I like UCLA. I think it's gonna get challenging for them again against once they get to the Elite 8. But based off how they were playing and how dominant they looked up until this Michigan game, I was like, yo, they might coast all the way to the Final Four. But that Michigan game showed me a lot. I ain't gonna hold you. That showed me a lot. They won, but that showed me if the team get the drop on them, as the old heads will say, team get the drop on them, they ain't gonna take that win. I'm gonna tell you, they're gonna need more than Lauren Betts. She's so smart down there that she's so used to the double team and she sees it coming that she knows how to uh she knows how to direct the next pass or say this pass to that pass, right? She can either drop the assist or pass to assist. She is smart. But if they're not knocking down the shots, force somebody else to score. So, as far as an actual national championship contender, you have to include the defending champs and then Texas Longhorns and South Carolina LSU because those teams have proven to beat championship contenders. I agree with all that. I absolutely agree with all that. If you got to pay homage to UConn, so out the gate they become the team that has the greatest chance to win out the gate. However, South Carolina, Texas, and LSU already been there. South Carolina done been there and won. LSU done been there and won. Texas then got real close, right? So Texas and UCLA about in the same. You know what I mean? Texas got closer, but they about in the same because they haven't done it in the last few years. It's been pretty dominant between UConn, in South Carolina, and then LSU finesse their way on in, right? So that's what I think the Final Four will actually look like. I mean, it's you don't think UCLA gonna be in the Final Four? You saying Texas, LSU, South Carolina, and UConn? I would not be surprised at that. Again, when that Elite Eight come, everybody gonna have to put up a shut up. So it ain't about you ain't gonna be able to ride off a legacy, ride the wave off of what you did in the regular season. All you gotta do, March Madness is completely different energy. Let's look at 8 through 14. Shout out to Ohio State, Buckeye Nation. Shout out to Buckeye Nation, right? They moved on up. They are 22-3. They had a big game. Y'all know they had the big game against UCLA. Big Ten play. Big Ten is the second hardest conference in the Power Four. Period. I mean, I kind of will argue. I can't really argue them being the hardest. But when you look at the top 25, the teams that dominate is the Big Ten and the SEC. When you look at March Madness, when you look at the amount of teams that are going to be able to get in and get the March Madness bid, it's going to be those same two conferences. It's going to be Big Ten and SEC. Big Ten and SEC going to have the most teams in there. That being said, Ohio State is ranked number 8. Shout out to them. Right behind them, number 9 is Louisville. They had a great game against Duke, the two top teams in the ACC, and Duke got the best of Louisville. And when I say got the best, had the foot on the neck the whole game. Duke was running them down. Louisville just never got comfortable. They couldn't really get into the sets. They coach over there was about to have an aneurysm. You feel me? You know, he get the yelling and fussing and cussing. You know, that little vein get to popping out. I said, coach needs to sit down. He's gonna pass out. Get the gurney ready, right? Louisville, they didn't look like Louisville against Duke. ACC, again, in conference play is different because you are who you are when you playing with them. But now when you in conference, we know exactly who you are. We know all your weak points. We know every move you make. We know you. Now try to get it off. And Kara Lawson, 14 games in a row. Stop it. Stop it. Farrell said his Final Four is UConn, South Carolina, Texas, LSU. None of y'all got UCLA in the Final Four. Jeez, ain't no love for UCLA. I ain't got to look. They ain't my team, so I ain't like I'm like saying but I'm just saying. UConn, SC's, Texas, LSU. Everybody pretty much got the same Final Four. Okay, Duke run the ACC right now. Look, they both of the teams walked into that game undefeated in the ACC, so that game was the best of the ACC gonna win this game. Duke won that game, and then they won the game pretty convincingly, right? So that being said, maybe Duke do run that ACC right now. I don't know, but they have been completely dominant 14 games in a row. Louisville has looked dominant all season long. So we're gonna see who you think gonna win ACC championship. If it's right now money on the line, you got Duke and Louisville. Who win the ACC championship? You said Duke is the defending ACC champs. Do they win it back to back? They gonna win it this year too? And that's crazy because I'm so sick because last year, was it 2 years ago? I had the opportunity to go to the ACC tournament. It was in Greensboro, and I was like, I ain't go, man. I ain't go. I'm sick. I should have went. And that was the year. Oh, it was 2 years ago because that was the year. It was NC State. You know, they had Sanaya, and they had old girl in North Carolina. It was some teams out, and I just was like, damn, I should have went. So y'all got Duke ACC championship. Duke taking it this year. That's gonna be something to watch. That they play really great defense. See, that's the thing about Duke. They play really great defense, and they got some sleepers. They point guard is a sleeper. What's her name? Fournier, maybe something like that. And then Ash Lynn, she's a sleeper. Got a great jumper, great mid range. Duke's a little scary. Duke a little scary. I seen them live. They put the BTA on Virginia Tech. I was like, oh God, Virginia Tech. I went down there, hooping and hollering for Virginia Tech, and they just got embarrassed. So I was like, okay, we're going to get them next time, slugger. We're not going to get them next time. We're not. It's over with. Shout out to ACC Nation, though. So you got Louisville, number 9. You got Oklahoma, Big Ten. Not Big Ten Conference, top 10, big top 10. Oklahoma, again, welcome back to the top 10. Oklahoma, not too long ago, was just ranked number 5. It was just ranked number 5. They had a couple L's. Then they've been getting back on a good foot. Moved up one slot from 11 to 10. Then Duke, obviously, they jumped 6. They had a great week. Beating Louisville mattered. Louisville losing to Duke dropped them 3, but beating Louisville upped them. So it looked like the AP said Louisville run the ACC because if you beat Louisville, you moved up 6. Louisville lost to Duke and dropped 3. Okay, top four. In the Final Four, you got Keontae says I got UConn, South Carolina, Texas, and UCLA. LSU playing ISO ball in March will get them sent home earlier or out in the Elite 8. Individual stars don't become teams. UConn full team, South Carolina full team, UCLA full team. I love that take. I love the way you're thinking about the entirety, the entire scope of the game. Not just stats. Not to say any of y'all are just looking at individual stats or looking at metrics, but I like that take because what we do know is team ball matters, right? When the more depth you have, the more consistent contribution from other people you have, that matters. That's kind of why I said originally that I think UCLA could still be in the Final Four because of the depth, because it's not always just Lauren Betts. Even though she usually dominates the stat line, it's not always just her. You still got to pay attention to the other ones. Whereas a team like a Vanderbilt, Michaela can beat you and then you still beat Vanderbilt. Maybe not in a regular season, but in the Final Four, you could have, or the Elite 8, or March Madness in general, you could have Michaela Blakes go off for 38, 6 assists, 3 steals, and they still lose the game. And she doesn't play, I got to get mine style of basketball. It just kind of is what it is. Now you look at LSU on the flip side, right? A team that can go over the turnover threshold real quick. A team that can play way too fast, turn the ball over way too much, take way too many quick shots, right? Um, it's I can see how one would think that LSU is not a top 14, rightfully so. They are very dangerous and can be very dangerous. They got a lot of Swiss Army knives when it comes to offensive ability. But that same energy that can get them to averaging 90 points a game practically could be the same thing that have them losing a game, a critical game in March Madness. All that fancy dribbling and turnovers to the announcer table won't cut it in March. It won't. It really won't. And as a matter of fact, shout out to Love and Basketball. Offense sell tickets, defense win games. When it comes to March, the best defensive team, the team that averages the least amount of turnovers, the team that can slow the game down more, the team that can dominate the paint, the team that can dominate the glass. These are not the sexy things, right? But then if you're a team like a UCLA, like a Texas, like a South Carolina, like a UConn, you can make a half court offense. You can make dominating the paint sexy. Why? Because if you UConn, you got Sarah Strong down there. If you South Carolina, you got Joyce Edwards, you got Okai, you got so many people. Same thing with UCLA. They have enough weapons that don't rely on one-on-one per se, as far as dribbling and breaking down my man. Even with the Lauren Betts, she scores kind of quick. She kind of makes her move quick. Joyce Edwards make her move quick. If she ain't got it, pass it back out, rotate the ball, swing. See, we got Raven try to break through. Tanaya try to break through, swing. See, we got Tessa hit the shot, boom, game over. You feel me? UCLA got both an inside and outside presence. People sleeping on UCLA. Now, I don't care for their coach, but because she doesn't know how to make in-game adjustments. Now, see, that's the same thing I say about Kim Mulkey. I just don't be seeing the adjustments being made, right? And you say the same thing about UCLA. So, and it's kind of what got UCLA in the pickle last year. Got them in the bind last year. Just getting stuck. You get stuck and you get stuck in your ways. You get stuck in your approach before the game started. Now that the game has started, you're seeing it differently. They're doing different things than what you predicted. They have different personnel. They got other people that's shining like stars that you didn't expect. Because that's what March Madness birth stars that we don't see coming. Right? It's not just the names. It's who gonna step up that nobody gonna see coming. That's what happens in March Madness. UCLA got a lot of people that can do that. I think the people at LSU, we know who they got, and I'm not surprised if I would be surprised if a non-top 4 name for LSU light it up. That would blow my mind, because that's not what typically happens over there at LSU. It's the people we know, right? Michaela, Flaugier, Malay, Fort Wiley, right? So them the ones and then the other guard over there. I forget the other guard over there. Y'all know who I'm talking about. That being said, I think it's gonna get interesting in March Madness. I can't wait. I really just fast forward through the season, but we gotta watch this SEC and we gotta watch the Big Ten. The other conferences, I don't really care about. I think we've seen the best game in the ACC conference that we gonna see, and that's Louisville and Duke. Everybody else, Big Ten, and we only gotta watch Big Ten and SEC games moving forward for the rest of the month. That's it. That's all we need to do. Everybody else, we can just watch the ticker at the bottom. Look at ESPN, look at the stats, respectfully. But the intense games will be in the SEC and Big Ten for the remainder of the season. So that being said, shout out to Duke, number 11. Shout out to Baylor, ranked 12, right? Moving on up. Crack that top 15. Shout out to Baylor Bears. You got Michigan State 20-4. They did have they had a little loss, right? So They lost to Michigan, I believe. I forget. I could pull it up, but I won't because I don't care that much about Michigan State. I'm not gonna hold you. I'm not gonna hold you. Some teams I don't care that much about. Now I'm gonna extend some love to Michigan because I do think they have a dominant team, and Michigan State is cool, but I ain't watching everybody. And Michigan State, one of the teams I ain't got the bandwidth to watch Michigan State. But shout out to them, top 15. Shout out to Ole Miss. Now I do have the bandwidth to watch Ole Miss. Yes. Now they went down a ranking, but Ole Miss is still fun to watch because Cotty is fun to watch, right? Cotty said she transferred from Ohio State to Ole Miss because Ohio State, she had been playing the center position for 3 years, and she knows if she wants to transition and be one of them ones in the WNBA, she's going to need to be a guard. She's going to need to be a big guard. She's going to need to kind of evolve into a Alyssa Thomas type of guard. Here's the difference, though. Cotty can score, right? So sometimes I might not like the matchup, right? Sometimes I look at the game and depending on who's checking her, I'll be like, Cotty, this is actually a game where you need to be in the post. You need to be in the post. You don't need to be taking the ball out. Like not taking the ball out, but like bringing the ball up the court or getting the ball at the top of the key and setting everybody up. No, sometimes you just go down there and eat. I understand though, you're trying to show a different level to your game. So instead of her going down to the post and posting up, she normally now is going to the post through her dribble, through her handle, through her penetration. I'm not mad at that. You got to evolve. You got to continue to add layers to your game, especially when you know this your last year, baby. You going to the pros next year. You're going to be coming out top 10 more than likely. What Cotty McMahon can end up on. What if she end up on like the 10th best team in the W? Indiana? Wizards? I mean Wizards. Watch them. Y'all, I've been watching these damn NBA games. Mystics? 10th best team was Mystics, I think, this year. Yeah. That's wow. Just think about that. And I think she pronounced her name Cody. So if it's Cody McMahon, my bad, y'all. My bad. Michigan is a team that if they get hot, it can be trouble. Swartz can go off any given night. Although lately she's been average. The UConn versus Michigan game, she was hitting like Curry. Exactly. See, Michigan is going to be really dangerous in March Madness. Very dangerous in March Madness for exactly what you said. They point guard can go off too. She a little bit of a sleeper, but if she get hot, she hot. Plus, she got a little size on her, and she ain't shy about getting you on that hip. So it's gonna be entertaining moving forward. I can't wait. 15 to 21, we got Iowa. Shout out to Iowa. They did suffer a pretty not great loss. Pretty bad loss. Let me go back to my top 25 real quick. But Iowa is are we still considering Iowa a sleeper team? They have lost some critical games, some tight games, but are we still considering Iowa a sleeper team? Do we think Iowa can make some real legitimate noise come March Madness? Iowa was on a 11-game winning streak against Minnesota, and then they fell to the Golden Gophers. Okay, 91-85. So I think Iowa. I don't think they're going to surprise me in March Madness. I think they can potentially upset somebody in March Madness, and if that happens, that's going to break a bracket. Definitely Iowa. Put your money on them for breaking somebody's bracket, busting somebody's bubble for sure in March Madness. for sure. I like Stalky, right? Um, she once she mobilizes and energizes the team with just her own personal energy and her level of play, especially defensively, a lot of times that can turn into offensive spark. And if Iowa get hot, talk about a team who get hot from three. Iowa lost two unranked teams, Southern Cal and Minnesota. And see, that's the thing. USC, they have underperformed this season. They should be a top 25 and they're not. Minnesota has shocked multiple teams this year, right? So they could potentially be a top 25 team. They get votes every week. So it wasn't surprising that they lost to South Carolina or Minnesota, but ranking wise, I can see why most people were surprised. Iowa is a Sweet 16 team at best. I would agree. Yeah. But if they catch somebody slipping and again get hot against somebody, so if it's Sweet 16 and it's Iowa, let's say verse, we gotta maybe next week we'll look at the bracketology and kind of see where they at and see who they may potentially play in the Sweet 16 if we just pick their wins and losses or pick their wins. Maybe we'll look at that next week. But if Iowa plays somebody like, let's say they are like a TCU type of team in this Sweet 16, Iowa can beat TCU, right? Would that be a shock? Now, yes, they are ranked higher, but when you really think about based on what TCU did last year, you would think that TCU probably would have a better track record in March Madness just from last year. No, we ain't talking about Caitlin days. We talking about last year. So that being said, I think Iowa could beat a team that's maybe in the top 10. Let's look at the top 10, just depending on who's in their bracket. Okay, in March Madness. So above them, you will have Duke. Would you think Iowa can beat a Duke? Do you think Iowa can beat Oklahoma? Do you think Iowa could beat a Michigan State? Do you think Iowa could beat a Louisville? I think anything is possible in March Madness, to be honest. And I think again, if Iowa is on fire, they got to be on fire. But I think they play a well enough brand of defense that they can hang in there long enough to make it interesting. And if they find themselves within the 8 to 9 points, and it's the fourth quarter, Sweet 16, whoever they're playing, they should be very, very worried. Okay. Texas Tech, I think they fool's gold, but shout out to them. Texas Tech, they are ranked 16. TCU fool's gold, in my opinion. They are 17, right? They dropped 3 slots. Kentucky, shout out to Kentucky. Kentucky's coach transferred over, not transferred, like he ain't a student, but he was Virginia Tech's coach, right? When Georgia Amore days. And then, he went over there to Kentucky, Kenny, and then Amore went over there. Kentucky had a great year last year. They're coming into a good season this year. They had some injuries, and had a little skid, couple little bang bang boom bang, bang. But you know what I'm saying? They've still been fighting. They've still been fighting. But they're ranked 18. Let me get to these comments. Beyond the Lenz TV. What up, Teddy? Welcome to Her Core, Her Rule. Who's your team? I'm with LSU. Shout out to you. Shout out to LSU. Go Tigers and all that. I am. Shout out to the Gamecocks, baby. I'm never not rolling with Dawn Staley. Never not rolling with Dawn Staley. Again, I'm gonna pick South Carolina to win every single game. Unless it's UConn, then I'm just gonna throw it up and may the basketball gods be forever in my favor. Okay. Not that I think that UConn is, so much better than South Carolina. No, I just think UConn it's gonna be hard to beat them, and for any team, it's just gonna be hard to beat them. I think they have something for everybody. I think whatever your strength is, UConn is equipped to counter that. Whatever your strength is, UConn can neutralize it. And sometimes I feel like South Carolina is in that same conversation, especially when people like Raven is being aggressive and scoring. And boy, don't let Raven hit the three. She can airball a three or two, right? Sometimes she can. But shout out to y'all. My boy said, I should have known you were South Carolina. Hey, look, man. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. You think Kentucky can get Texas tonight? Let's look at the scores tonight. Let's look at the schedule tonight. I don't think Kentucky is beating Texas tonight. But let's talk about that game. Let's talk about that game. I love to look at the matchup predictors. Let's go here. Let's talk about this game. So tonight we got 90%. Shout out to ESPN Analytics. 90.2% says Texas is going to beat Kentucky. Okay. Texas is at home. Now, Pharaoh, I don't know where Pharaoh at. Pharaoh will tell us that Texas don't be losing at home, right? They undefeated in the Moody Center. You coming over there, you're probably going to lose. Kentucky probably going to line up Kentucky, go ahead and hold this L more than likely. So, no, I don't think Kentucky is going to beat Texas tonight. I think after that great win, Texas they're just a very, very hard team. Maddie is so hard to check. Madison Booker is so hard to defend because no, she's not going to look for a 3-pointer as far as her number one shot, but that doesn't mean you can leave her open. She can cook you alive in mid range, off the dribble, off the catch, off the screen, off a post, either hand, a jump shot. I mean, mid range is crazy. Her alone, just her alone. And then you got Roy Harmon, in my opinion, I think is the most imposing point guard in the SEC. Imposing, what do you mean? I mean that it's not a lot of point guards in the SEC. Point guards, I'm saying point guards. Not a lot of point guards in the SEC that can change a game defensively and allow what I do defensively to affect our offensive play. In the SEC, we have other guards like a Hannah Hidalgo or whatever who can just light them up with the steal column, and so can Rory, but she does much more than just steal the ball from whoever she's checking, right? She really is their anchor on defense as far as IQ, making sure everybody else is in the right spot. So, yeah, I don't think Kentucky can do nothing with that tonight. I'm just saying. Booker, South Carolina have a saying, Madison, no bright lights. Booker, Roy is the heart and soul and the best player on that team. Shout out to Teddy 80. Booker sometimes can fall short. Madison can definitely sometimes fall short. I don't think she would do that tonight, especially off the great outing a couple nights ago. But I do appreciate your comment, your statement, because I know they had the no bright lights. Booker is crazy. What up, Miss D? Welcome back. Welcome back to the chat. Hey, while y'all here, make sure y'all hit that like, hit that subscribe button, and come on over to the chat, man. Come on over to the chat. Let me know what you feeling. UConn going back to back. Whoo, here we go. Here we go. I love to take UConn going back to back. Teams will need us to get in foul trouble and shoot the ball poorly. Sarah Strong is about to win 4 in a row like Stewie. People call me crazy. Sarah will be a UConn go, because I can't say the UConn go because UConn got a lot of them. So most people I talked to got UConn winning this year. I'm a South Carolina fan, and again, I say, if it's South Carolina and UConn in the finals, I hope and pray South Carolina got enough. I hope and pray they got enough. Sarah Strong is a whole problem. I was in denial, because I'm a Maya Moore fan. That's my all-time GOAT. And they were saying that Sarah Strong is the next Maya Moore, and I was like, bullshit. When this was last season when they were saying her freshman year, but I said I'm not trying to hear that. Ain't nobody named Mama. Ain't nobody ever do what. And then this season, I was watching her, but just been watching. I'm like, I still don't think next Maya Moore, but could be in that Hall of Fame, UConn greatest of all time conversation. Sure. Is she already in that conversation right now as a sophomore? Absolutely. That's what make the conversation dangerous. We talking about somebody being one of the greatest UConn players ever. She's a sophomore, and we know the type of UConn player pedigree that's in the history. Herstory, I'm sorry. Herstory. So yeah, UConn is not dominant and can get got, but not by those other teams slated to make the Final Four. So you don't think any other team in the top four can beat UConn? Let me know. Let me make sure I'm reading that right. Already got that one. She's a defensive anchor and leader even for her size. You talking about Rory, I believe. Absolutely. For Texas. Yeah, for sure. That was a response to Booker being all this and all that as a player. She's a Rip Hamilton type. Damn, and I like Rip too, but when you compare her to Rip, I guess that's a little limited, you know what I'm saying? Because Rip really was a run off the screen type of player. Booker can create, get her own shot off the dribble. She's super efficient. She's shooting 50% from the field, averaging 19 points. I think I think she could be more aggressive at times. And just go into takeover mode. So if y'all seeing, and a lot of people watch way more Texas games than me. However, I think that's like the one critique that I have of her. Like, just go into takeover, go into Mamba mode. Don't be a little passive. Just go. We don't have to ask Sarah Strong to go. Sarah Strong give me the ball. Stop. Give me the ball. Nice with it. She got a pretty smile. You feel me? Give me the ball though. You already know what time it is. I'll make it happen. Don't worry about it. So, amazing how these UConn folks know where to be found when they lost to Tennessee last year. Okay, because I thought this year I said is Tennessee gonna do it? That first half was tight. Second half not so much. Right now, would y'all say UConn's team last year, as it was constructed, is better than this team this year? Last year had Paige. Last year's team lost to Tennessee, but won it all. I guess that Tennessee loss didn't really matter, but it did matter in the grand scheme of things because y'all lost. But this year they got that they got that lick back. UConn always has the easiest path to win a title, playing in the Little East, not the Big East. That's why Sarah Williams went there. She didn't want the SEC smoke. Now imagine Sarah Williams having to play in the SEC every single game. Because did she come from Mississippi? Transferred in? I don't know. Either way, I'm like, oh, I might be thinking of old girl from South Carolina. That being said, UConn, we talk about it all the time. UConn's schedule is mad easy. Can they help it? Can they help the lack of competition in our conference? No, but can they help scheduling more games outside of their conference, more competitive games outside of their conference, especially in the first half of the season when all you plan is out of conference games? Yes, you can help that, right? So that being said, I kind of agree with you a little bit as far as they having a super weak, super easy schedule. I do still think they're dominant though. I've been around since the 90s. Shay, Elliott, Lobo, DT, Sue, Tina Charles, Renee, Katie Lou, Mariah Jefferson, Gabby, all legends. All legends. That's not her game. Plus, she's not a shooter from range either. Fans listen. Us UConn fans listen and heard the disrespect, even though we had 5 to 6 years with injuries. No excuses. Injuries are part of the game, but we listen. Gino Wash, UConn Wash. Damn, cooking them. I don't think Gino Wash though. I think Gino's still top 5 coaches right now. Gino definitely still. Gino is very, very scary as far as his mid game adjustments, his play calling, his out of bounds play calling, just all. He very scary. But I think this obviously in my mind the scariest coach in the league is Dawn. Dawn is fearless, and I love that. Sarah Williams is from New York, but she went to Wisconsin. Okay, thanks for the clarity. Appreciate that. UConn was better last year. They're going to miss Paige. I think they definitely gonna miss Paige in that March Madness for sure. Outside of Sarah, I don't think they have anybody that can really create a shot. Like create a shot. When the system ain't systeming, right? Gino run a system. So when you get into binds where you just need somebody, go get me a bucket. However you get it, go and get it. Outside of Sarah, I'm gonna say no. They don't have not one person outside of Sarah. I like Fudd. You feel me? But Fudd, you can put the clamps on Fudd. You know what I mean? You can go ahead and lock Fudd up. Sometimes, it ain't gonna be the whole game. But again, when you're in that system, you can run off them screens and do all that. But when it's 7 seconds left and a lot of things ain't been going well, you just need a bucket. They only got really Sarah to figure it out. Go get me something. And having that limited ability, South Carolina got multiple people. Even if it's not like Raven may not get you a bucket, but she can get you a foul. Like she can get to the basket and foul. She can get you enough where she can still create, if not just for herself, but for somebody else. Underrated creator in Raven, right? Pat's 8 are way more respected than Gino's 12. Now that's true. Absolutely. And Gino didn't have some really stacked, really stacked teams in his career. So, why do you think Gino schedules those non-conference games late in the season to bring attention to his team during the conference schedule? I think he'd be taking the easy way out. UConn is me. I just answered. UConn is better this year statistically and from the eye test, as he is an elite defender and can go get a bucket. If all else fails, Gino been coaching Sarah to get 40, and she can. Now Sarah definitely can get that 40. Sometimes, depending on what other guard is on the other side of the court, I don't think Fudd can go get a bucket on her own. I think her buckets come off of other people's playmaking ability, whether that's a screen. I feel like she's a set scorer, not a set shooter. She can score after a couple dribbles. She can score in motion, but I believe from my eye test, she scores better off a play. Off a set play and actions, right? And options off that play. If it's 3-on-3 basketball, if it's 5-on-5 basketball, if we just playing pickup basketball, I'm not going with Fudd. Me, right? And I'm talking about of other people in obviously in women's basketball, I will go with a Tanaya Laxon over a Fudd when I'm talking about one-on-one creatability, right? So, and I love Fudd. I love her game, and I think it's going to translate well in the WNBA. I'm talking about extremely well in the WNBA. I've been saying all along, I don't want her to go to Dallas. I want her to go to Seattle. That's where her game needs to be. because she can go to that team overnight, and that team could be in the playoffs, and she could be making a huge impact as a rookie in the playoffs. That's me. Sarah had to play all 40 minutes for them to beat Michigan. Fudd needed 31 also for them to beat Michigan by 3. If UConn play in the SEC, they will have multiple losses. That's a fact. I believe so. I think they would at least have 2 losses because you're going to hold an L to South Carolina and Texas. You're going to more than likely play them twice. You're going to hold at least an L. So you're going to have 2 losses in the SEC. Okay, so everybody got 2 losses in the SEC, right? Minimum. UConn wouldn't be no different. The Big 12 said no because of football. They wanted both women's and men's basketball teams in the Big 12. We tried to join both in 2024 and last year, 2025. We need football money and relevance. So, again, that's the part of it that I do understand. It's out of their control. They can't control what conference they're in. They can't control the fact that the conference that they are in is weak. That's way out of their control. So I understand that, and so there is some sympathy there, a little bit, some understanding for sure. But yeah, like call Dawn and say, yo, I need an exhibition game. I need the fans need to see more from UConn, and I don't be wanting to wait to damn March. You feel me? Because the thing, even in first few games in March Madness, they're gonna be blowouts again. That's true. It seemed more like a system player, Fudd, who is a second option, not the first. That's what I would say. Definitely ain't the first option. Hold on. Gotta get rehydrated. Is your lens foggy as to mentioning UCLA? UCLA? If Bruins play a near perfect game like they did versus South Carolina last year, their talent can prevail over UConn. Con job Connecticut is crazy. Welcome to Her Core Her Rules. Stano 2000. No, my lens is not foggy, but shout out to you. That's kind of funny. We talked about UCLA. We talked about them for a great deal. Maybe you weren't in the broadcast at that time. That's okay. Let's recap though. A lot of people here in the chat are not high on UCLA, especially as it gets to that Final Four. If you scroll back up in the chat, most of them have said their Final Four picks do not include UCLA. So over here on her rules, I cater to the audience and what the audience wants to talk about in the chat. If the chat don't want to give too much rhythm to UCLA, we moving on. I'm talking to y'all. I'm not talking about UCLA. If y'all don't want to talk about UCLA, it is what it is, right? So that's how we do it over here on Her Core Her Rules. Now, do I think UCLA is dangerous? Yes. Do I think they have a deep team? Yes. We've already unhashed that. Do I think they can still make it to the Final Four? Sure. Absolutely. Do I think there are other SEC teams like LSU and potentially a Vanderbilt that can make it too? Yeah. Over UCLA? Yeah. Most everybody in the chat agree. But shout out to UCLA. I like them as a team, and I like a lot of people don't like their coach that much, but I like them as a team. I like their depth. I like the stars. I like the balance. I'm not mad at them. Shout out to them. During Pat and Gino rivalry, which I watch every year, it was competitive year after year. I respect Pat. She's just number 2. So you got Gino and Pat. I think a lot of basketball fans, especially women who played the game, I think a lot of us just hold Pat in her own arena. Like, it's Pat, that's Pat, right? And then Gino. And I don't have them 1A, 1B. I got them completely. I got Pat and I got Gino. I don't even compare the two. I don't rank the two. I got them in classes of their own. Rankings come now, and there's a lot. It's been a lot of coaches. We got tenured coaches. The coach from Stanford who retired last year. We got a lot of women coaches or coaches for women's basketball that we can add to the legendary conversation. But right now, I think the conversation is Gino, Pat, Dawn, and Tara, who was Stanford's coach who retired. So we it's some women's college basketball is deep loaded. So shout out to them. Shout out to them. I'll make sure I get all to y'all comments. I don't be liking to miss nobody. I'll give you another one. Let's look at just title seasons. Number of All Americans Pat had for her 8 titles, 5. Number of All Americans Gino had for his 12, 27. Loaded. Gino always get blessed with squads on top of squads on top of squads. The years that when you look at the years where Stewie, and then you look at that's one era, right? That 4-year era she won all years, right? Then you look at the Maya Moore era, then you look at Diana Taurasi, Super era. Like all these different eras, when you look at the teams, you can count all the people that you know of in the WNBA. Oh damn, she played. Oh damn, she played for the damn. Hold on, this team had this. Y'all know, y'all remember the song? I ain't even gonna go there. Let me get to the other one. Pat is a founder of women's basketball. Look at her story, how she built Tennessee up by driving the team in a van to games herself. See, that's the difference. It's the one's history has a lot more diamonds and it looks like luxurious, and that's Gino, right? If you look at the brands matter even in basketball, even on a collegiate level. When you look at the UConn brand would be like House of Gucci, right? House of Louboutin, right? High end. You got when you go over to the actual spots in Italy and this, that, and the third, they coming out to you with champagne, it's red carpets. That's the Gino of basketball. The Pat of basketball is like Dillard's, right? Dillard's is everywhere. You still got to be somebody to go and shop there. Luxury, yes. Do they sell Polo? Do they sell a little bit of Gucci? Sometimes, maybe, depending on what dealers you at. But the connotation of what you walking into is different, even though the expectations are the same. The expectation is winning. The expectation is being great. But how you get there, your route to greatness is a little bit different, because you don't think that you're walking into something that's going to be easy. When you sign up to go to UConn, you kind of think it's going to be easy. When you sign up to go to Tennessee, not going to be easy at all. UCLA is not as good as last year to me. They not. Last year, smoke show. Last year, walking upset for somebody. This year, not so much. Nobody is taking anything away from the late great Coach Pat. She was great for the growth of the game. She's just number 2. So where does Gino rank in your opinion? I don't compare Gino and Pat, but when we talk about when you look at coaching, you look at titles and wins first, right? You look at the amount of people that he helped get into the WNBA and how their careers looked in the WNBA. So one would say the greatest, the most successful coach of all time in women's basketball is Gino. I would say that for sure. But for me as a hooper, as a bouncer of the ball, Pat she just brings something completely different love to the game. Like, I never wanted to play Gino never wanted to make me play basketball. Pat Summitt did, right? Pat made me wanted to dream about playing basketball on another level. Gino didn't do that for me. And that's just me. So I can see how people can say Gino number 1, Pat number 2 clear. I can see also how people can say it's Pat for me, then Gino, then Dawn. You know what I mean? Right now today, Dawn is my favorite coach hands down. And it's been that way since what, 6 years now, 5 6 years now, 8 years now. You're talking as a UConn fan. Pat is the standard. That's who even Gino compared himself to when he was on his come up. That part. Do you think Gino has 12 if he coached in the SEC with less talent? That's a no. That's an absolute no. Gino not having 12 if he in the SEC. Not at all. The student can become greater than the teacher. That's the goal. The kids should become better than their parents. Oh, I like this debate. Come on, philosophy. You ain't answer my question. Come on, philosophy. Yes, because UConn is 68-13 versus SEC teams. And the SEC got bad teams. Just like every other conference, UConn will do Auburn due to Auburn what LSU just did. Damn, you think that? Whoo. Now the Gino debate, Gino and Pat debate, obviously that can go on for years and years, and it's gonna continue to go. It's gonna continue to go on for years and years. That's gonna be a debate, just like Michael and LeBron. You know what I mean? Even though y'all know it ain't no debate for me, is Michael, then Kobe, then LeBron for me, in that order. That being said, it can always go back and forth, but as it stands right now, you know, Gino is the best coach in basketball today, as it stands right now. You know, for the masses. For me, it's Dawn, but for everybody else, it's Gino. The bottom of the top 25, we got Tennessee. We talking about them heavy, right? Shout out to Tennessee. Ranked 22. We got Alabama 23, Princeton 24, and Washington 25. Again, I still ain't seen the Princeton game. I saw them the other day. They were playing. I forget who they were playing on Friday. I said, "Oh, I should have tuned into this game." Nope, I'm not watching it. I don't have the bandwidth for every top 25 team. I'm gonna watch most of them, but some of them I'm not gonna watch. So I'm not gonna watch Princeton more than likely. Y'all know I'm not gonna watch Texas Tech. I'm more than likely not watching TCU. I didn't even mention Maryland. Shout out to Maryland, DMV connection. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to North Carolina as well. ACC Nation. Shout out to them. And North Carolina been playing well. They played NC State not too long ago, beat them. They've been playing well. They have been a top 25 team. They kind of fell out, got back in there. Maryland trying to get back on their good foot too. But overall, when we break down this top 25, y'all let me know, do we have some sleeper teams? Anybody that's not in the top 7 that you can think that potentially can upset somebody over here? Anybody that's not on this top 7, do y'all think any of these teams can upset somebody in that top 7? Is it or let there be one? Louisville, Duke, Ohio State? Who y'all got? Who y'all got for upset in that top 7? I don't think I think so. My spidey senses tell me by the end of the season, we might have 2 new names in this top 7. By the end of this is what my spidey senses tell me. Who gonna drop out? We gonna have to see. But I feel like we gonna have 2 new names in this top 7 by the end of the season. That means potentially Vanderbilt can drop out, Michigan can drop out, LSU can drop out. Well, we know these top 4 teams gonna be there. They've been there all year. So based on the past, UConn, UCLA, South Carolina, Texas, they should be all right. But Vandy, LSU, and Michigan, it could get interesting. Let's go back to this. I like this comment. You said Gino's number 1, Pat is number 2. You didn't say interchangeable at first. I know UConn folks have Gino number 1. I get it. For me, it's Pat because of what she went through. That's exactly, that's the underline. Year, yeah, this year is up and down on the polls. Top 7 going to change constantly. Yeah. So, are we all in agreement with the top 4 probably going to be the same, but 5, 6, 7 is more than likely will change. More than likely will change. And I'm not mad at that because I like the unknown. I like the mystery. I like not being so secure in my faith that me not understanding that my faith can get knocked out, right? So if I'm an LSU fan, I'm like, yeah, we dominant, but we can lose. Put the pressure on your team. Now you got to put the pressure on your team. We can't lose any game. SEC, we can lose any of these games. Now how we coming? How we coming? What we doing? So it's gonna be interesting. Right now, just so y'all know, uh, Texas is winning against Kentucky 19-16. They are 1.5 minutes left, roughly, in the first quarter. Texas got up early, 21-16. They scoring. Let me see what's going on as far as, because I ain't watching the game right now. Oh damn, she cooking. Carlton cooking. She already got her. So I knew that looked weird. She averaged 9 points. She already sitting at 12. Wow. Wow. Then you got Booker. Um, Let me get the full box score. Hold on. This gonna be a close game. You got Carlton, she got 12. You got Jordan Lee, she got 5. Cunningham, Booker both have 2. Rory Harmon, she only took the 1 shot thus far. They've only taken 1 3-point shot attempts thus far, so they getting everything mid range in the paint. Wow, this is gonna be one of them games. Oh Lord, I gotta hurry up and end this live so I can get to this game, y'all. Um, Shout out to y'all. Appreciate everybody being super active in the chat today. Appreciate everybody for pulling up again to do this AP Top 25 poll breakdown. We do this every Monday right around 6 p.m. right here on Her Core, Her Rules Beyond the Lens TV. I do want to ask y'all one question since the chat is active today. The chat is active. Over the last week, who was y'all MVP this week? If you had to pick one player of all the teams in the top 25, who was y'all's MVP last week, right? Who played the best basketball individually last week? Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the chat. Can Kentucky get an upset? I think the first half is going to be interesting. Let's see what the second half looks like. I think there's going to be a tale of two halves with this game. I think it's going to be close first half. Texas separates second half. I think Texas is going to separate in the second half. We shall see. But can Kentucky get an upset? Absolutely. I would hate that for Texas though. I really would. I know Gino built that team up. I have no problem with that. Dawn did some of the same thing. Wonder where they got it from. Hey, can't fix it, ain't broke it. You feel me? Like, go ahead. Like, hey, they doing something well over there. Let me see what they doing. Let me take a little bit from this great, take a little bit from that great, put both of them on my plate, and I'm cooking up. Michaela Williams, she showed up against everybody, unlike Flau'jae. Flau'jae been dropping the ball. I'm not gonna hold y'all. Flau'jae been dropping the ball. She been dropping the ball. She has been. I ain't gonna hold y'all. Michaela Williams a dog though. Michaela Williams a dog. We got Michaela Williams was Teddy's MVP. She's been doing great. Joyce Edwards is my MVP. Obviously, y'all know how I go. Joyce Edwards, you know what I'm saying, South Carolina. The young lady from Duke, Ashlyn Jackson, she's played well this week. It's been some great individual players this week. But I'm gonna have to go with Joyce Edwards for me. That's my MVP this week. We got Teddy said Michaela Williams that show MVP. I can't be mad at that. Oh my God, I can't be mad at that. She's so efficient from the field. It's crazy, especially in those tough games, those pivotal games. Fournier, exactly. That's the point guard for Duke. They haven't lost since we beat them. Absolutely. Duke been shining. Yeah. They've been shining. So I love Duke. I got a special love for the ACC. I don't know why. I think just because growing up, I was a Louisville fan and I just always kind of watched ACC games. And then watching men's basketball, I always watched Duke, obviously North Carolina. It just kind of switched over. Then I lived in North Carolina for a bit, so it was just like ACC Nation, what up? Um, let me get to Joyce being steady this week, trying to be like Asia was in South Carolina. Yes, and Joyce what she the fastest to 1,000 points in South Carolina history, and that's crazy because they had some hitters over there. So even some South Carolina fans have been saying Michaela needs to shoot more. She does. She actually should be the star of the team. But when you have two names that are more popular than yours, it's kind of hard, right? And I hate that for her. But when Malaysia full Wiley transferred in, if I was Michaela, I would have transferred my ass right on out. Oh, y'all good? Y'all got it. Y'all got it from here, dog. Y'all got it from here. Mayor is the point guard from Duke. Fournier is the big. Oh yeah, that's the white girl. That's right. Cause she came back over injury, right? Yeah, yeah. She a problem. She a problem. She a problem. Um, yes. She don't get the ball late. They forget about MK. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. But they gonna give her the ball when she need to hit that end of the shot. End of the shot clock, they gonna try to find her then. Right? Game on the line, they gonna try to find her then. I don't like that. I don't like that. Joyce is nice. Joyce is fire. Sometimes I think Joyce kind of. I think sometimes they kind of start her off slow in the offense early in the game. Um, and I just think at the beginning of the game, feed her, continue to feed her. Similar how at the top of Texas and LSU, the first four plays went right to Madison, right in her sweet spots, left side, right side. You know what I'm saying? Back and forth, middle. I feel like they kind of need to do that with Joyce. Sometimes she don't get into the flow of the offense into the second half. And yes, she can still put up good numbers and great numbers, but imagine how much more dangerous she can be if she's in the flow of the offense early in the first quarter, right? Sometimes it's hard when you got a lot of people on your team and everybody got to eat. UConn play LSU next year and will win. Who? South Carolina next year and will win. Who? Possibly Tennessee again and will win. Who? Play Vandy 27-28, 28-29 and will win. So we ain't ducking no smoke. Okay. Keontae said UConn ain't ducking no smoke. We already got us. We got y'all on the list and we ready for SEC next year and we coming to smoke. All right. We're gonna see. We're gonna see. They not beating South Carolina next year though. Hold on. Hold the phone. Hello, hold the phone. They not beating South Carolina next year though. But that's cute. I love that. MK needs to get the ball all game long. They need to look for her all game long. I'm just looking over these comments. I like this one. Malaysia isn't in the way. Flaw J is, along with Moki not checking her. Now I've been saying Moki. If she winning, all praises. If the team losing, she gonna start pointing, right? I ain't a big Moki fan. And Flaw J just ain't been. She ain't been locked offensively. I feel like she ain't been locked in. She been missing a lot of easy ones. Uh, Malaysia be going too fast and then turning the ball over, and then she be missing some layups too. But then you catch her in fast break and she hits you with the. You be like, damn, that girl cold. Uh, but because Mulkey features Michaela is the third option when she actually should be the first option, but it's hard when you like Flau'jae helped you win and then you attracted Malaysia, and it's like I don't like Mulkey. I just think she could do better. I can keep going and on, but I think she can do better. Y'all still arguing about the UConn. Listen, y'all, UConn gonna be in the Big East because of football. It is what it is, which means every season they're gonna have it easy, and that is what it is. Ain't nothing we can do about it. We just gotta have to roll with it. I'm not a big Kim Mulkey fan either. Flau'jae hasn't gotten better since freshman year. She has not. Kim ain't known for developing players, from taking players from good to great. We can't look at Angel Reese. Angel Reese was doing that in Maryland. Angel Reese would have did what she did at LSU with anybody, right? That's just who Angel Reese is. Flau'jae would look better with a different coach for sure, right? I just Mulkey don't take. She talk about a lady that be ducking the smoke. Mulkey do all the time, all the time. It's no accountability. So when you, I can go on and on. I don't want this to be negative because I hate to be like just pointing and pointing, but I just never been a big fan. I like this. We know the Big Easy is bad and terrible. Of course, that's why we have to schedule non-conference the way we do. That's not a debate. We can't help the conference. They can't. It is what it is. Show you the difference between Pat and Kim. When Holesclaw came, the team was seniors, but she ran with her over them. That's what Kim should have done. Pat was special. So is Gino. Tamika Holesclaw was one of those. She was one of those. I'll always say my all-time favorite player in history of women's basketball. I can't say all history because Cheryl Miller got to be everybody's GOAT. But then I got Maya Moore. Holesclaw and Tamika Catchings is like, and I gotta throw Cheryl Swoops in there. All three of them can easily be my favorite player outside of Maya Moore, right? Now my current present day favorite player is Asia Wilson because clearly, but like old school, Cheryl Swoops, Tamika Catchings, and Holesclaw. One A, one B, one C. I don't know. If Gino has this LSU's talent, or if Dawn has it, they're not losing. And I will completely agree. You put Dawn at LSU or Gino at LSU, they going undefeated. Well, they going undefeated. I was about to say, hold on. They going undefeated. Yeah. If Dawn was coaching at LSU with this team right now, they wouldn't lose against Texas or South Carolina without Dawn. If you put another coach at South Carolina right now with South Carolina team, they're not a 2-loss team. They're probably a 4 or 5-loss team with this team. Meanwhile, if you put Dawn with this team at LSU, this LSU team, they going undefeated. So I agree. Okay. I see. Shamika Holesclaw is Tennessee GOAT, then Candace Parker for me. I love the sport of women's basketball. I love respect. Shout out to you, Keontae. Shout out to you. Shamika Holesclaw is definitely a Tennessee GOAT, and nobody will argue with Shamika and then Candace. Nobody in their right mind will argue that. Right. LSU have more NIL money than South Carolina and UConn. They out there eating like a fat rat over there at LSU. I'm trying to tell you, I think I got 4-5 years of eligibility too. Can I walk on and be on the bench? I got time. I still got little. Okay. I'll play some 1-on-1 with Malaysia. I get smoked, but I'll play. 10 seconds down, you feel me? I understand how the game go now. Shout out to y'all right now. It's tied up right now with Kentucky and Texas. Well, not tied anymore. It's 30-28. Texas has the lead right now. That's going to be a great game. Y'all go ahead and tune into that if y'all not already. We're gonna be back on Wednesday. We're gonna be back on Wednesday. Right here at 6 p.m. EST. And we're gonna give y'all Cavs State of Mind, but I am gonna tap into a little bit of women's basketball as well. We don't have any big games between Tuesday and Wednesday, but we do have some pretty good games tonight. So I am gonna recap the Vanderbilt in Oklahoma and the Texas and Kentucky game on Wednesday. So y'all pull up here Wednesday at 6 p.m. where every Wednesday we do we do Cavs State of Mind every Wednesday at 6 p.m. But I'm also going to give y'all some bonus content and give y'all a little bit of her court, her rules as well. But y'all know, y'all pull back up here every Monday at 6 o'clock where we do the AP Top 25 poll breakdown. And the chat is jumping. The chat is lit. Welcome to Free and Lenz Society. That's the chat, man. Y'all get active each and every time. Shout out to y'all. Make sure y'all do what JTTVP podcast said. Hit that like, hit the share, hit the subscribe. We on the road to 500 subscribers. So each and every subscription, each like, all engagement on this channel is much appreciated, y'all, as we are on the road. Y'all, it's been real. We went a little bit longer today. That's cool. I hope y'all enjoyed the content tonight. Much appreciated all the engagement. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to the new subscribers. Shout out to Teddy pulling up and being hella active in the chat today. Appreciate y'all. JTTV podcast, Keontae. It's always love. Miss D. Shout out to y'all. Pharaoh was here. Shout out to him. It's been a great time in the chat to y'all. Chat today, y'all. Keontae said, I'm looking forward to South Carolina and LSU February 14th. I want to see Kim lose. Absolutely. Hope it's a bloodbath. That's just me. So that's what it is. Y'all be safe, everybody. What Keontae said, much love, much appreciation to y'all. Again, shout out to women's basketball. What? NCAA women's basketball been popping all year round. Conference play is on 10. It's almost like, damn, I can't miss a game. I'm looking at my Palm Pilot. I'm checking my schedule, making sure I got the times clear so I can watch the teams. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to y'all for being great fans and keeping the chat energized, keeping the energy high, keeping the love flowing, keeping all that good vibe spread, man. Appreciate y'all. Again, while y'all here, make sure y'all hit the like, make sure y'all hit the subscribe on the way out as we are on the road to 500 subscribers. Appreciate y'all. Peace and freedom. Y'all know the vibes. See y'all on Wednesday, 6 p.m. Peace.